got it. All right.
How's it going, Vikings fans? Welcome back to another edition of the SKOL Experience. I believe when I was putting this together, this is our 38th episode. Does that sound right? 38 weeks
Could
in a row
be.
we've running
Yeah,
strong.
I'm at
38 weeks.
39 on the other show, so and I could be wrong there too. I'm not very good at keep track of shit.
That sounds right, though. Tonight, obviously, as you can tell, there is no Jamie in the building. As I said, after 37 weeks, Dave and I decided we can move on without him. So we actually released him from the program. We're just kidding.
Released him from the contract.
As everybody knows, Jamie is in the middle of a move. He is moving to Massachusetts. I believe as of today, he's in Niagara Falls. So good for him. Him and his wife are enjoying some of their time on their basically cross-country travel here as they're leaving from Colorado. So it's just going to be Dave and I manning the ship tonight. Before we get too deep in here, we had people hopping in before we even went on. Sarah, how's it going tonight? Gary, always a pleasure. Mission accomplished safely. I don't think he's there quite yet, but he should be there very soon. Bob Swede, thanks for hopping in. Appreciate it.
Sarah, we saw your message late again and decided to wait a couple minutes because of that.
Who knows? Anyway, Dave, how's it going this evening over there in the beautiful state of Florida?
It's a beautiful state of Florida. I love it every day. Oh yeah, I'm still Florida man on my moniker here. Change it from Purple Hulk, but I've been freaking excited because I feel like Jordan Addison's the real deal. I feel like that now. It's like you can tell. Like I'm like, is that Diggs or is that Jordan Addison? You know. I think we we got his twin, except a few 10 years younger. It's like I'm just so excited about that I think we got just extend Jefferson. We got some 5 years of, if we extend Jefferson, we got 5 years of actual gloriness throwing the catching the ball. So
absolutely,
hopefully the running backs follow suit. Hopefully this line solidifies. I don't know. There's talk about Dalton Reisner and I don't know if that happens, but that would have been kind of cool. I would have taken the better pass blocker than the run blocker any day.
Yep. Especially in this offense as well. I mean, I know me and Jamie talked about it on we posted a video about the Dalton Reisner visit, which we signed some other former Broncos offensive lineman. I can't remember what his name was, but it wasn't Reisner.
Sloatman.
Who knows? It could still happen, but at this point, I know
Sloatman.
What's
Sloatman?
that?
Sloatman was from Denver.
He was, yeah, but it was a different Denver lineman who wasn't Dalton Reisner, unfortunately. But it obviously could still happen. I know Ben Gessling said yesterday that at this point no deal was imminent, but you never know. But yeah, I mean, I guess speaking of Addison, we can start off talking about some of the good things we've seen in camp so far. It's only been a week. I think last week we pulled up that clip. Addison had the nice catch in between two defenders. Kirk threw a dart to him. But ever since then, everybody at camp, all you've seen on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it these days, is absolutely rave reviews of the kid. Route running, and that's the big thing. They said his route running is amazing, and was the biggest thing when we drafted him. I remember my first thought was, if we had him in the playoff game, we win, because I think on 3rd and 8 and even maybe 4th and 8, he finds a way to get open. It gives Kirk a better spot to put the ball. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest takeaway we need. Right before, obviously, the speeding thing before training camp, we were all a little bit concerned. And then he comes in now, the injuries in the past, that's in the past, and he's showing out at practice, and that's huge.
Here's some news. Vikings poised for roster move after releasing Minnesota native. The Minnesota Vikings waived rookie offensive tackle Sam Schluter, that's such a Midwestern name, non-football illness on Wednesday, August 2nd, open up a roster spot after a full week of training camp. So we have a spot open.
That was actually, I believe they did that before they signed this other Broncos offensive lineman.
Oh, no shit.
I could be wrong. I think that's how it went, though.
Damn it.
You thought you had some news, huh?
It said 33 minutes ago.
So yeah, I thought I saw that. Maybe it's something completely different, but I think that's this. I think that's Paul. Thanks for hopping in. Appreciate it. Nice to see us.
Yeah, this is heavy.com 33 minutes ago.
See, now heavy.com is one of those sites I never trust, because you see them on Facebook and they have these flashy titles, and then you read the
They're
article,
a
and it's
little
nothing about
they're a little
what.
clickbaity.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, as a as like YouTube podcasters, you need to be clickbaity, but they take it to a whole nother level.
yeah, like when I pretend to be ESPN and
So the difference between a dude who can run routes versus a speedy guy like Jalen Rager, I'll take the route runner. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that was the biggest thing about Rager when he was drafted was just that straight line speed. Unfortunately, doesn't seem like any of the other stuff with him is clicked yet. So
and you see Jordan Addison returning punts at the end of practice. They were live,
that's
radio show on
interesting. That's
YouTube.
interesting.
There's Jordan Addison return punts. So
Yeah,
that
I
would be
did see that.
interesting.
That is something. I'm curious if anything's going to come out of that, or if it's just. I mean, I get it. Training camp, you kind of just experiment with things and kind of see what sticks. One other thing we did get today is we did get a Daniil Hunter contract breakdown, which I can pull up here in 1 second. Field Yates, his new deal with the Vikings, signing bonus of $5.5 million. Base salary is $10 million. Per game bonuses, $1.5 million. Incentives up to $3 million. Updated 2023 cap hit is the still at $20.95 million there. And then me and Dave looked it up before this. At least per over the cap, he does still have a $14 million dead cap number in 2024. If we don't sign him to an extension and get rid of some of that, but at this point, we'll see.
And there was a big YouTuber that thought we'd get a draft pick if we let him go, and nope, because of $14 million.
I suppose with the
dead cap,
you don't get that compensatory.
Yeah, you don't get a
okay.
We didn't get any from the these guys that we let go recently. So like Tomlinson, right? Yeah, he didn't. He had some dead cap. So who else I forget? But Thielen.
Yeah.
Cap.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. If there's any of those voidiers, I suppose they can't.
We just cut him.
Sense.
We just cut him. I forgot. We cut him. Never mind.
Yeah. In the Zone podcast, Zoe, how's it going tonight? Thanks for hopping in. But yeah. So outside of Jordan Addison, what else have you seen so far from training camp that you've been happy with?
Well, Naylor was looking good. Then he got a little injury, which allowed Addison to, hey, I want my job back. And that's so I'm like, all right, my hot take is done. Jordan Addison's going to have more yards than Naylor. I could see it now. Naylor's still really good, though. And I think if KJ Osborne goes, which we're not going to pay him $12-14 million next year. We're not going to do that. Right. So it'll be promote from within. Because, receivers are a premium. KJ balls out this year or even has like 800 yards or whatever. That's still going to make him look good enough in the, to be a double digits. So I think with Naylor, and who knows what we draft, but Naylor, Addison moving forward with Jefferson will be crazy. And another guy, just to see him against the other Vikings, having Josh Oliver walking around looking like he should be in WWE, making money. I think he's got a future there. He's just a big man and athletic and fast. And so I'm really interested to see preseason because obviously he'll get a lot of playing time since we don't play our starters. We just don't. And they didn't do it at the Rams either. So you're going to see a lot of Oliver. It's going to be fun to watch. It's just so many, and which sucks because I think that's where we should be looking at our offensive line and getting them reps playing together and game experience, especially with Ed Ingram being a rookie or a second-year player. I want to see how that's developed. But offense. I think we're poised to have like a crazy good offensive year.
Yeah, I think so as well, which might need to make up for a still better yet mediocre defense. Everybody in here, listen to Gary. Hit that like button if you have not already. Okay, and coming at you from a slow night at the paper mill, we have David here in the comment section. Cousins has 3 years of dead cap if they don't re-sign him. Is that? I thought it was just like the one big hit of like 28.
Yeah,
million.
So they do it over 3 years, but if you get cut. Well, if you don't get re-signed, they can take it all. They take it all one year. So
Okay.
like when we saw it said 14 and 7. Well, we're only gonna get hit with 14 because because if let's say we re-signed Daniil Hunter, well, he wouldn't he would then have only 7 years left or 7 million left on the void year. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Because we
Yeah.
maybe re-sign him for one more year. Well, then it would go down to 7 million for the last year. So yeah, Cousins, if we re-sign him, those will that would take up a year. That would take up another year. That would take up another year. So if we re-sign him for 3 years, there wouldn't be any void years because
Yeah.
we'd eat those 3 years. But yeah, if he was gone, we'd eat all that one time.
Okay. Interesting. Good to know. Good to know. Rap, thanks for hopping in. Nice seeing you in here. What else we got? Laura, another coming at you from a slow night at the paper mill. Someone said they feel warm and safe with Oliver in the huddle. That is another big thing about. I mean, I think we're gonna see him when he came in. Everyone thought he was just a blocking tight end, right? I think we're gonna see him step up and be a receiver as well. I think he's gonna get a lot of pass catching opportunities. But yeah, when it does come to his blocking ability along that offensive line, I think that's gonna be a huge plus as well. Especially like I know O'Connell said he wants to run the ball more, and I think that'll help. But I mean, I still think we're going to be a pass first offense. But definitely will like seeing Oliver along that O line as well. Something else. Speaking of training camp and people that have stepped up, I've been saying for quite a while since the end of last season. Once we knew that the ankle was kind of coming back around, I think Lewis Seen is going to have a breakout season this year. I think he's going to find his way into the starting rotation. And so far, from what I hear from the little snippets of training camp, it sounds like that's looking like a pretty good guess at this point. I know it sounds like he's been playing pretty well. He's been pretty instinctive. He's been fast, hitting hard like he always does. Something you love to see from a guy who was your first round pick. And then speaking of that, trading back to get him, the Lions took Jameson Williams, and it sounds like he's been quite the story so far this offseason with his suspension, and now he's fighting people in camp. And
I am so happy that we got Jordan. We don't have him, and we have Jordan Addison, and we have Lewis Seen right now. But there was still the safety from Notre Dame, Watson, that we could have had. But and Jordan, is it Jordan Love? Jordan Love, right?
sure.
From Georgia, the D tackle that went to
Jordan Love's the
Philly.
quarterback. Jordan Davis?
Jordan Davis, the D tackle from Georgia that went to the Philly. I know the teams, I just forget the names. But yeah, those were still two guys I will compare him to because those were the three guys that I wanted. And I am so glad we didn't take the receiver. So I'm glad. And I think Jordan Addison is, he's still a little flamboyant, a little worried about it, but not as much anymore after he came out and basically apologized for doing the speeding. I think he handled it really professionally.
Yeah, I agree.
So I feel real good about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what we got. A lot of 3-yard touchdowns out of Oliver. Could definitely see that. Gets like 5 yards just falling forward. He is a mammoth of a man. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna add
a link. I'm gonna add a link in the chat to his highlight reel. It's a nice highlight reel. Josh Oliver, and you guys go check it out.
I think I saw like one catch from his college days, and it was pretty fantastic. Yogi, thanks for hopping in. Appreciate the support. Let's see. Seeing a setup take over Hitman next year, but not sure we can let him marinate this year. I agree. I said that when we first drafted him, that I really felt like with that draft they were drafting for replacements for the future, which we're already seeing with Asamoah taking over for Kendricks. And I definitely think Seen's the next one take over Harrison Smith, because you do kind of get that feeling that like Harrison Smith is gonna be this might be his last season in the league at that matter. Who really knows? But we'll see. Well, Jefferson, he won't get the opportunity to be another Diggs for sure. I think Jefferson's a great role model for the young guys. But I mean, even your quarterback, having a guy like Kirk Cousins, who I don't know, I feel like you don't want to disappoint your dad, especially when you're a receiver. So I feel like that's kind of the thing there.
One of the things with Addison, if we do extend Justin Jefferson to 2-4, Addison won't be our replacement for him to be our number one in the future. I think Addison might be one of those situations where he might be wanting to get out of town so we can get that payday where who knows, like
Right.
Diggs did.
But that's kind of where
I
the
am a
draft.
little worried about that, but I will take the probably 4 very
Mhm.
good years, um, and then get some trade value because we've been very successful trading a receiver at their peak.
Yeah. Well, like let's be real. Like when you look at
Diggs and
Justin
Percy
Jefferson,
Harvin.
he's probably going to be due 2 big contracts in his prime, if not 3, right? Because if he
Mhm.
signs one for 5, like so let's say we get him to a 4 or 5 year deal, that puts him at what, 27? So one more would put him at like 30, 31. Like I and he'll get in. I mean, I'm sure he'll be good enough to get another one after that as well. So crazy thing about with that, like he's going to be due 2 huge paydays before his career is all said and done. That's, I mean, good for him, and hopefully it's all here in purple with 90-year-old Kirk Cousins throwing the ball. I'm just kidding, of course, but need likes to equal watching, please. Absolutely, go like on both channels, and yeah,
Yeah, I'm at 4 right now. Let's go.
we're at 6 over on our end here. So
I like you more.
what else we got going on?
We last night we got up to 36 viewers. That was pretty good. Rap had like 110. I'm kidding. I don't know. He had a lot. I was out Ubering, so
I think I popped in at one point. He had like 38 to 40 going on all
yeah,
at
I
one
think he
time.
said he
So.
got up to like 50 something. So yeah, big time. But hey, I put a link to Josh Oliver's highlight reel. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This guy is a beast. I was so happy after I saw, oh God, we paid that much for a freaking blocking tight end. No, we didn't.
I remember
We paid for the whole package. This guy's gonna be good.
I remember when that first happened, how social media absolutely blew up when we signed Josh Oliver. Because I mean,
Like
obviously we were
who?
expecting some other moves to be made, and that was the first one, and it didn't sit well. But people after that, I think after they finally sat back and looked at it and realized what we were getting, um, yeah,
We're getting
I
a
think
football player, a legitimate football player, all
Mhm.
around tight end.
Right.
He's not going to be as big of a pass catcher as T.J. Hawkinson, but he's going to be a better blocker than him. And
Mhm.
T.J. Hawkinson's not bad,
Right.
but he's going to be he's going to be a better receiver than Irv Smith Jr. He's going to be the better 84 of the two.
Of the two,
So,
okay, good, good. Whenever you talk
of
about
the
84
two,
and being better, you have to mention that.
I did qualify that.
Which, by the way, do you think it is? I mean, random thought, which I think everybody agrees. You think it is time to retire the number 84 here? I mean, let's be honest. Everybody that's tried it, um, since Moss hasn't really worked out for them very well. Before you answer my thought there, Skull Mafia, thanks for hopping in. We'll get into pace right after this. Actually, if you want to talk about good things along that defense, but Dave, go ahead. What are your thoughts on the 84? Should it be retired? Yes or no?
Um, if he like, I'm gonna look at the years he played with us, and not, and he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then he came back for like that one last time. In football, maybe, but look, he 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years with other teams, so half his career is played with other teams. It's kind of hard to retire a number like that.
That's fair.
And
Yeah.
especially when you only got so many receiver. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
guess now that receivers can play, use single digits, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
And then there's like, have there been greater Vikings? I put him on the
Well, kind
Mount
of like
Rushmore every time. I put him on the Mount Rushmore.
right. Well,
Top 4 Vikings ever. But I I would lean towards yes, but my only hesitation is the amount of time he's played with us.
right. Well, even like Sarah says here, if we retire 84, we should retire 80 as well. And I kind of agree with that. I mean, Chris Carter is like my all-time favorite Viking. I actually have a picture of his 1,000th reception up in my windowsill right now, in my apartment here. So, absolutely.
And we got to hold a spot for 18. We got to hold a
That's
spot for
true.
18
That's
because
true.
he is 100% on track.
Mm-hmm.
100% on track. He's got a just knocking on everything wood like on my desk. I think it's just pressed fibers, whatever. I don't know, but that's a that's a yellow brick road to the Canton right there.
Yeah.
You just got to stay on it.
And I mean, and we all knew that with Moss coming in, was the head wasn't all there. I mean, we all knew he was just he's kind of a head case when he was younger. Jefferson hasn't shown one inkling of being that guy. So, SKOL for life. Thanks for hopping in. Bite size Vikes. Thank you
There
for
are
hopping
so
in as
many
well.
great Vikings, right? There's so many. Well, like
I mean, 28 could potentially be retired at some point.
in our history, you know, I think I counted one time, I don't know, it was about 15 years ago, all the Viking Hall of Famers in the time period that we started in the league till up until that point. Like we were one of the top teams with um amount of Hall of Famers. And you know, it was just crazy with that in a team that didn't win any Super Bowls. But we got some great freaking players. I still think Studwell, I still think Browner should be in the Hall of Fame. Marshall should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. And then look how long it took them to put Tingelhoff, and so yeah, there's so many guys that still, you know, and then they're going to delay Harrison Smith, but he should be in no problem. In my opinion. I'll fight you for it if you disagree. Harrison Smith, um, yeah, he's just got all the he's one of the best overall safeties in his generation. Just easy.
Absolutely. D Will, thanks for hopping in. What do we got here? Retire 64, 28, 84, 80, 88, and 70.
That's a lot of
a lot of numbers,
man. It's a lot of missing numbers, and you got to have 90 numbers to fill out a roster. I know once they would change their number if they make the team. You know, there'll be a lot of no-name guys wearing retired jerseys up until the first game of the season in preseason. But
I don't think we should retire 84, but should be suggested to new players not to wear it, mainly because it's just bad luck for other players
yeah,
to give it a try.
you know, I think that could be one of those
Mary,
unwritten rules that, hey, we'll let you wear it in preseason, but yeah, you're gonna have to switch for. That could be one of those things.
Yeah. Do the Vikings have any retired numbers?
Yeah, I think we do. Isn't 10?
Is it?
Because I don't remember a 10 in a long
every
time.
team has some, but
have you ever seen a 10?
10, 53, 70, and 77.
Yeah, 77 because of
Stringer. Yeah. Which was that? Was that yesterday the anniversary of that?
I remember when that happened, man. It was like, holy shit! I can't. He was
That's nuts.
27 years old. So what were the numbers?
The numbers were 10 for Tarkenton, 53 for Tingelhoff, 70 for Jim Marshall, and 77 for Corey Stringer. So
they didn't Marshall Page? No way. No Page?
Nope. I believe what Rap is saying is we should let you be a moderator on the channel, which, who knows, somewhere down the road could happen. But anyway, going back to SKOL Mafia's comment there, Ivan Pace has also been, it sounds like he's been a standout so far in camp as well. I mean, obviously we know Rap was super high on him when he came in. Others may not have been, but it is what it is. But yeah, so far, I mean, Flores sounds very impressed with him, and I mean, we might, who knows, if he keeps on this trajectory, it could be 2 years from now. We have two very undersized linebackers, but I mean, if him and Asamoah just keep, you know, showing up on tape and making plays, who cares?
I love Asamoah's spirit, man. He's just wants to play, man, and there was articles about him being like this. You know, he's starting to show a leadership quality about him. And there was some audio of him, you know, in in training camp, and yeah, he just seems like to be one of those vocal type of guys. So, but not crazy, you know. He's not Ray Lewis or anything like that,
right.
But yeah, he is got a good spirit about him, wants to play. And then, you know, Pace, I would have had no problem based on, you know, his skill set and what I saw in his college highlight reels. That I would not have had a problem if he was drafted in the 5th round. Like, I'd have been like, okay, out of all the guys that we drafted later in a 5th round and later, I would have been cool with Pace being drafted in front of him. And I really like, McBride in the 7th. So
Yeah.
I could say that. I could say that, hey, if those guys, I might even took him over Blackman, uh, because I would be like, oh, that's a good linebacker.
Yeah.
We need one.
Right.
That's what I would have thought.
Which also, speaking about McBride, sounds like they put a highlight him about him catching a football. So maybe his catching
Caught a
abilities are
football.
better than what we thought. Who knows?
What I have heard is McBride has not caught a football.
I thought I saw him catch one. I thought there was a clip.
I was heard he
one
dropped
pass.
5. I saw a report that he dropped 5 passes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. When we brought him in, that was the thought process. Wasn't this guy was going to be, that guy? That's what we have. That's what we have Ty Chandler for. I saw one run from Ty Chandler where he looked pretty shifty. Whatever injury he had last year must be. I guess it was like a hand injury last year or something.
Yeah, I
Something
think
crazy
so.
like that
I think it
happened,
was.
which is like a thumb injury or something like that.
Yeah, I
But
think he broke a digit right
yeah.
hand.
And they said Jaquelin Roy had a couple nice reps so far. I mean, against our backup offensive line, of course, but it kind of is what it is there. And that's another thing. Like, so far they said, I've seen some talk about this on Twitter. Addison's looked really good. Kirk's been Kirk in training camp, of course. JJ's made some really nice catches. Nailers look good, right? KJ's been KJ, which is always solid. Someone said, like, it's either there's two things. One, all these receivers are fantastic, or two,
Or all our corners.
our defense is not great and they're going to get cooked this year. Because I know there was one play where Byron Murphy kind of lost his footing on Justin Jefferson, and people are like, "Oh, he got cooked." It's like, I mean, I get it, but it's Justin Jefferson, right? Against Byron Murphy, he's not a premier corner. He's a solid starting corner, but he's not like a top end corner or anything. So against Justin Jefferson, you expect that to happen. But yeah. So what side do you think? What side are you on of that? Is it good on the offense that we're just being that good, or defense is?
I heard that our defense looked awesome yesterday in practice.
Okay. I mean, they did say we're aggressive. We're being a lot more aggressive now, which is huge.
Right, and there is a big time advantage being a one-on-one drill for the receiver. It's just a huge advantage.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So I am not gonna. I think based on what I saw, like Evans last year, who's going to be, I think, probably our starter now. And Murphy, I don't feel a problem there, and I feel our safeties are all good. I reposted a picture and called them the Hitmen because these guys can fly and they're aggressive, and they're, as my shout out to my rest in peace former head coach. They play with reckless abandon, man, and it's pretty awesome. And I think we're going to see that safety. I don't think it's going to be Metellus or Scene. It's going to be all three out there a lot, and we don't really know who the starter is. But if Metellus takes it over, and I honestly, Bynum is not in my picture. I think he's a good football player, but I think those three guys are just too. Those two guys are more talented than him.
Yeah, I would agree.
Metellus is just he's a football player. Metellus is he's going to get after it. His tape at Michigan, when I was doing and I said this was our deepest position group outside of, I said receiver last year going into the season. And I just saw, even there was another guy that got maybe some playing time last year. I can't think of his name now, but all of them looked really good in college. And I thought, we got a deep group, and Metellus, he's one of those guys that just got stuck with it, kept fighting, and now he's looking to get paid, man. Last year of his contract, and he's going to get paid big time.
I mean, fantastic special teamer. If he can step up on defense a little bit, that'll be huge. We'll see some comments that rolled through here. Any defensive floor is going to be better than last year's defense. Yeah, like that's the thing. Flores, the floor is so low that anything he does is going to be better than what we had last year. Like he could have the 20th, like the 25th ranked defense, and we're going to be feeling like it's like we're going to like the top 15 defense. It's crazy. Murphy practicing against JJ only make him better. Very true. All O-line players and coaches raving about our D. Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing they're saying is just how the difference in the intensity of the defense is the biggest thing. The McAndrews, thanks for hopping in. Appreciate it. AJ, nice to see you again. Thanks for hopping in. This year, Irv will finally break out and Kitty will meow. It might. I don't know. I mean, I love Irv. That's been the biggest thing with Irv Smith, and it's going to be the story of Andrew Booth's career as well while he's here. Is if they could be healthy, they'd be so good, but they just can't do it.
It
Yeah,
is
we'll
like
see.
there's like certain players like Jefferson, Cousins, who guys that just never get hurt, right?
Mhm.
Knock on wood.
No, yeah, right.
I'm just thinking of some other players too, that we've had, but then there's just guys that just get hurt all the time. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's unfortunate. Yeah, well, and then I mean, if there's an offense that you're going to break out in, it's going to be that one because you're just another face in the crowd there with how many weapons they have, and a quarterback like Joe Burrow as well. Any word on that word kid we drafted? I hadn't heard much. I know I heard he was in at that third corner
Yeah, I haven't
spot for a
heard
while,
much.
but outside of that, it's been pretty quiet.
Well, and because they moved Murphy into the slot and put Williamson out in the boundary, that I think that would be an Ward would be fighting for that spot, or safety, right? But he's so deep on that safety chart, it's really hard. I think he makes a team just because of where we drafted him. I don't know. It's just he's a tweener. It's a tweener. It's tough to figure out
Absolutely.
where we play him.
Yeah. Any presser from the O, they raving about the D, even on OC. Yeah, I mean, and it's good to hear when I mean, again, that's their job. Like you got to hype up your team, but just like knowing that there may be some truth to that, right? And and what David said earlier, this defense literally cannot get worse. Seeing who was drafted to play Hitman, absolutely their play styles are similar, which is very true. The other safety position will be who next year, and that's the interesting part. Is Bynum taking everything that's happening right now with all the hype over Scene coming back and Metellus as a challenge, right? Like obviously, Bynum had some flashes last year, couple nice interceptions. I mean, I was at the Jets game when he had the game-sealing interception there, but there's just too many lapses. I mean, he had an unfortunate break in Washington when the official got in his way. But you just feel like the consistency, right? You just feel like the consistency isn't there with Bynum. But who knows? Maybe in this we're expecting Brian Flores to come in with all these other players on defense and take them to the next level. Maybe he can do the same with Lewisine. It's not really fair to say much until we see what he's going to do. Absolutely, Bynum is better take it as a challenge. What else? Still no word on Reisner or the other one way or the other. We signed another offensive lineman out of Denver. I don't remember exactly what his name was. Just a depth piece. But yeah, the only news I heard yesterday was Ben Gusling said no deal was imminent, but one could still get done. Kofi, nice seeing you again. Thanks for hopping in. We are going all the way with Kirk O'Chains this year. God, I hope so. Addison burned Williams yesterday so bad he got sent back to passing with the twos. Oh boy. Not a good start. Bynum better be taking the challenge. Yep. And starting safeties will remain Smith and Bynum. Flores will use them right. I hope so. But then again, I would love to see us get Scene and Metellus in there a little bit more as well. Raymond, thank you for hopping in. Scolder Soup, thank you for hopping in as well. Is it just me or does Davenport seem like he only here for the money in his interviews? I hope he plays good, but I don't know about him. I actually haven't seen any of his interviews yet. But hopefully he comes around. I mean, I haven't heard much from him one way or the other about so far from training camp, but yeah, I don't know yet. We'll see. We will see. But a lot of good pieces on this defense, and so far they're all sounding like they're playing pretty well so far. If you're Reisner to a point, sounds like he has attention with teammates. There was something about that a couple years ago, wasn't there, where he had some issues with in Denver?
I saw a tweet someone about it because I was looking up his name and there's some old tweets about it, but I didn't really look. Just to give you an idea, there was pressures allowed in 2022. Dalton Reisner 29, Ezra Cleveland 53, Ed Ingram 58. That's just crazy. QB hits allowed, Reisner 6, Cleveland 20, Ingram 18.
Yeah, we'll see.
You're taking away 14 hits.
Yeah,
in the season.
And that's the thing that but that's the thing that me and Jamie talked about as well, is how he definitely fits the offense better. Like, I like Cleveland, but Cleveland is definitely more fit. He's a tackle. Like, let's be real. He doesn't have the anchor to be a true guard. And because of that, in a Zimmer type offense or like a Kubiak style offense, he's fine. We're going to be primarily running the football. When it comes to, because he's you look at his PFF stuff, he's a phenomenal run blocker, but
Which
he
is
just doesn't
weird.
have
You
the
say
anchor for pass
you know
blocking card.
you're not an anchor, but you can run block. But
He's just athletic. Get out in space, make some hits. Yeah. Joe Viceth, thanks for hopping in. Didn't Riser start beef with Russell Wilson? Is that what it was? Was it Russell Wilson stuff? It might have been.
Look, I'm gonna Google it.
Justin, thank you for hopping in. Kofi, I'm a little concerned with our second tenant. I forgot his name, but haven't heard anything about him. Josh Oliver. He's looked big. As for like a pass catching perspective, I don't think we've heard anything from that yet. But I know they said that they're gonna try to use him a little bit more in the passing game. Sounds like Addison's looking good out there. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. He definitely has been, which is good for him, especially after all the offseason drama. It's nice seeing him come back in, put it all behind him, and just start to ball. I know last week Kirk gave him a dart in between two defenders, and he made a nice catch. He had a 40-yard. I think he had like a 40-yard touchdown the other day as well. The route running is phenomenal, as we all expected. So absolutely.
Yeah. So he apparently had a scuffle with Brett Rippon.
Oh, the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently it was due to miscommunication.
Oh, was this the game against the Rams where they got blown out like 56-14 or whatever? Was that that game?
51-14.
Was that game?
On Christmas marked new low for the team and led to a firing of first-year head coach Nathaniel Hackett. The following day, Russell Wilson threw 3 interceptions. Damn, he's so bad. The defense allowed Baker Mayfield and Cam Akers to look like the greatest show on turf. That was crazy that he played so well in that game. Anger boiled over in the Broncos sidelines during the game as an offensive lineman, Dalton Reisner, and backup quarterback Brett Rippon got into a bit of a tiff. In the third quarter, CBS cameras caught the end of a altercation between Reisner and Rippon on the sidelines. The quarterback was being led away from the offensive lineman on the sideline while Reisner was yelling in his direction.
Wow.
So yeah.
I want to get back. Now. I want to get back to Nathaniel Hackett. I'll go through David's comment here, which, just keeping on the good part of training camp. How has Hall been looking so far? I know he had a couple of really nice days in a row. I know Kirk Cousins says he's been studying the playbook. He's been solid out there. He knows what he's doing. He's got a good arm. He's a good kid. He said a lot of good things about him. I know that he made some big plays. I know he had a one rough day where I believe he threw 2 interceptions or something, but overall it sounds like he's actually been looking pretty solid. So, I mean, again, you're not expecting much, but if he can come in and be a solid backup quarterback for the next few years, maybe develop him into a tradable prospect or something, we'll see. But that's the thing. It's always nice to have a young quarterback in the building that we can develop, and sitting behind Kirk Cousins and learning the game I think will be a good step for him. But I want to go back to stepping away from Viking stuff, kind of Vikings related. Talk about Aaron Rodgers here for a bit. Did you
leader?
Did you hear the whole Nathaniel Hackett / Sean Payton?
Is Sean Payton got his most punchable face? I did that. Post that. Who's got a bigger punchable face? And it's definitely Sean Payton. I think that's in the NFL. That is one person I loathe more than anybody in the league. Is Sean Payton.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
And it's if let's say Rodgers was still with the Packers, I might have took Sean Payton's side. But now that Aaron Rodgers is not a Packer, I don't give a F about him anymore.
Yeah. And he's right. He was right to say what he did, I think.
So yeah, defending Sean, that is just unclassy thing to do in the media, bash the former coach. You don't do that to colleagues. I would treat, these are guys that you in a brotherhood almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
They go to like the coaches year, whatever convention at the end of the year, take a group picture. These guys socialize together. I mean, and it's funny because you know what the one thing I really didn't like about Zimmer is he was such good friends with Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Like they were best buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're Cowboy days. And I'm like, oh my God, I hate this guy so bad.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like, and Aaron, I mean, and I think Nathaniel Hackett, he did had a press conference a couple days later, and he said the same thing. He's like, he broke the unwritten rule that that's not how you handle your business. So it was, I mean, and I tweeted it out too. I said, I hate to admit it, but I agree with Aaron
Sean Payton
Rodgers.
says
Like
we
you don't
basically
do
are
that.
doing everything opposite of last year's last year's coaching staff. Well,
Right.
one of those players defended him and said, "Hey, it's like it sounded like he did not have a good group of coaches around him."
Right.
I forget which player it was, but he seemed pretty intuitive and wasn't having any hard feelings. And he was like, a Hackett could come over and say, "Okay, this is what we want," and it got cleared up. But he couldn't coach everybody,
Right.
and so I think he was leaning towards, hey, his his assistant coaches weren't up to par, which could be, but you got to say it's all on the head coach. So
Right.
maybe Hackett will get another shot. I doubt it because that was an epic fail, right? How much
Mhm.
look that is may go down. I still think the Herschel Walker trade is not the worst. It is the Saints trading their entire draft and then the next year, first round, I think, and I think another fourth or whatever, for Ricky Williams. That's still to me the worst trade I've ever seen. Herschel Walker second, and then the trade to get Russell Wilson is now third.
Yeah,
So
that is fair.
pretty bad.
Yeah, Sean Payton didn't seem like a friend to Zimmer on Christmas Day. Yeah, when he let his running back go off for 6 touchdowns. Sean Payton knows all about dirty hands. Very true. If the NFL had some balls, Sean Payton wouldn't be a head coach in the NFL. He's a serious POS. I agree. Sean Payton is like my least favorite person, and that includes some Packers players. So as long as Ingram gets better, our offense will be top 7. We just need our defense to be average, and I think Brian Flores will do that. I mean, Ingram did start to step up at the end of last year, so hopefully we do see that positive trajectory go there. And then defensive wise, I think we just need our defense to be decent. Like, I mean, I think with if we had like the 22nd ranked defense last year, I think we easily win that playoff game. And we give up Brock Purdy-less. I mean, he got hurt during the game, so we probably wouldn't have done the same. He wouldn't have had the same injury if we played him. But if we played that
Because
same
we
team
wouldn't
with
have
the
been able
Brock
to get to
Purdy-less
him.
49ers, we'd have right, exactly.
We would have had a pass rush.
Yeah. We might have won that one too. We had a shot, but yeah.
So yeah, we have very across the board, most fans have low expectations for this defense. I probably have higher expectations than most because thanks to Casey, he turned me on to Brian Flores, and looking at it and just everything that people say about him and how aggressive he's going to be, I just think there is going to be a substantial jump. I'm not talking about top 10 in yards. I said a hot take that would be top 10 in points allowed, because and I didn't realize this, but there's a couple of teams that won Super Bowls that had a top 10 scoring defense and a 25th ranked yards defense. So there are teams, and it was the Patriots that had these two. There was 2 Super Bowls where they had this type of ranking, and I didn't even know that when I said it. And sure enough, it's the Patriots, and that where did he come from? But New England. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Absolutely. But I'm excited to see what he's going to do with that defense. It definitely does need a little jump start after the pain and disappointment that we had to sit through last year. So
I just don't want to ever see that guy again.
yeah, not great. What else we got? If you have any questions about Flores, look at Pittsburgh last year. Yeah, true. Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess the defense, even though he was a linebacker coach, but apparently he gave a lot of credit to, was it Hightower? I forget, some linebacker there took a big step, and he was given credit for how Fitzpatrick played when he was in Miami, and but just he got a lot out of nothing at Miami when he was actually calling the plays. So I don't know why he went away from that, because there was a couple years where they were pretty mediocre defenses, but that second year at Miami, they had an elite defense.
Mm-hmm.
Turnovers, yards, points, turnovers especially, and I really think that's what he's going to bring to us is gonna stop some drives and cause some turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, Joe Ryan is getting absolutely spanked. Twins are down 7-0 right now. Not a good look. Not a good look. But
There's
speaking
nobody
of,
I want fired more than Rocco Baldelli.
I agree.
No more.
100%.
I am not a negative person in general towards Twins, and I've never had a manager that I like. Hey, I can't wait to get rid of him. Why didn't we effing sign Doug Mickavich, and just say, hey, be our coach till you die, is beyond me. Doug Mickavich, you're listening, come back. Come back.
This team needs you. Anyway,
I'd rather fire the ownership and hire Doug Mickavich and have him pick the owner.
But the best part is though, the Twins gave us a little uptick in the waning weeks of the end of the NFL offseason, and now they're downhill. But we have the Vikings starting soon with preseason starting actually Hall of Fame game tomorrow night. So there is some football on tomorrow. Gary, not hearing much about the kicking battle. Any other news in the sniffs we're getting? It sounds like both of them are actually performing pretty well. That Podlesny, is that his name? The other guy we got?
Yeah.
Sounds like he's actually been pretty solid as well. You guys know me. I'm still on the old Greg Joseph train. So
I just assumed Greg Joseph.
He's going to be just fine.
Thank
you for hopping in.
You go look at the college numbers on that kicker, and it's not good.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right. Kickers
Maybe they saw something
crazy.
in him.
Right? You never know. You guys see the graphic that the Pat McAfee show showed of Kirk and Joe Burrow? I think I saw that a couple weeks ago on Twitter, like the playoff stats or whatever, or maybe it was earlier this week. I saw it. I didn't watch the video because I assumed that they were just gonna, shit talk Kirk Cousins, but which is fair. Because not fair, but if you're comparing him to Joe Burrow, like Joe Burrow's my guy, but. Kind of, I don't know. I think that's a little bit too far to compare the two when it comes to playoffs because, people are going to talk about the stats again, but Joe Burrow did make it to the Super Bowl. But yeah, I did see it though. I did see that. Speaking of also of other players that I don't like, I was doing one of the NFL, like the Immaculate Grid for the NFL today. And there was a column, it was Super Bowl champions, and the bottom two were Saints and Cowboys. So I went with, they're both very low percentages too. It was actually kind of cool. I went with Jonathan Vilma because I didn't like him for the Saints Super Bowl champion. And then I went with the man they call the original Hail Mary. I always like to call him Push Off Drew Pearson. He was my Cowboys and Super Bowl champ, and he was actually a pretty low percentage as well. So
I'm pulling it up right now. Kirk Cousins. I saw this before on Twitter. Playoff choker, and then it's a picture of Kirk Cousins.
And then Joey Burr.
And Joey Burr. And it's Kirk Cousins, 20 points per game scored. Joe Burr, 22 points per game scored. Points allowed, 28. 28.
For
Burr, 18.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
So it's a little big difference. And I say that all the time. And even on the night game thing, is that's what it looks like. We're giving up 28 points a game in the playoffs. And but 1.75 touchdowns per game, 1.4 for Burrow.
What's going on, Barber?
Turnovers per game, they're both a half. Passer rating 96.5, 93.8. Yards per game 254, 260. 3 defensive turnovers. 3 defensive turnovers for Burrow, 0 defensive turnovers forced by the Vikings. 13 by Cincinnati. Yeah. So he's getting 18 points a game, 13 turnovers,
and more.
Kirk Cousins getting 28 points a game, 0 turnovers. Yeah, it's Kirk Cousins. Yeah, it's not. It has nothing to do with that defense.
Gary, hoping both make the 53, but if you had to choose one to make, McBride or Pace to make the team, I would probably have to go with Pace just because I think the linebacker room is a little too bare right now. I think McBride, after Madison's deal is up, could be a really good running back for a couple of years and probably still mix in intermittently. But I think if you're looking at the running back spot, having Madison and Ty Chandler be your 1-2 punch, and if you're going to keep Kene as a kick returner, he can play running back. I would take Pace over Kene right now, personally. But if you only had to choose one, I would just say Pace just because of the lack of depth that we have at the linebacker spot. Dave, what are your thoughts?
As far as who's starting?
If only one could make the 53 between McBride or Pace, who would you pick?
McBride or Pace? Gosh. McBride is such a. I said it. I would rather, for this year, for this team, Pace. But I think both make the team. So
Well, right, but that's what he's Gary's just giving us the ultimatum. If you had to pick one,
for now, Pace, because we need him.
Right.
But for long term, we're throwing away what could be, a Pro Bowl caliber running back.
Yeah.
But I'm a win now guy, so I'll go with Pace. Because Ty Chandler's still there.
He will. Yeah. Let's keep this as calm and not Kirk Cousins related as we can. Well, my worthless opinion. Thank you for hopping in. Appreciate it. How's it going tonight? Oh, I think we have Jamie in the chat. Jamie from all the way from where are you in Niagara Falls right now still? I believe. Beautiful Niagara Falls with no internet, no Wi-Fi in the hotel room.
I went to Niagara Falls when I was 13. That was fun.
I truly can't choose. So you're gonna put us on the spot, Gary, and you won't make the. Come on, man. Just kidding. It is a tough choice, though. It definitely is a tough choice because both of them definitely bring value. How is it? Is it good? Everything going well over there in the Falls, Jamie? We're holding it down. We're holding down the fort here without you. We're doing all right. There may have been a joke about firing you from the podcast after 37 seasons or 37 episodes of the SKOL Experience, but it was a joke.
We traded you to the Packers. Casey didn't want you to go to his favorite team, the Lions, so we traded you to the Packers.
Too much information there, Jamie. Just kidding. SKOL TY says Pace as well. Absolutely. Yeah. I think Pace is just going to be the overwhelming favorite, just because of just the lack of depth on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm a win now guy. So
yeah, that's
and
fair.
We're already deep at Ty Chandler is a nice consolation. So
David, at least you can have a better chance to get McBride to the practice squad. Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair point as well, especially after how much he's popped so far.
Running backs,
Justin, thank you for hopping in. Appreciate, nice seeing you. Now Packers can't afford me. Oh God. Running backs are easier to replace. Yeah,
but easier to take off of practice squads and put on your team too.
That is true as well. Yeah. Well, remember who was that? Who was that one guy? We had 1 year. We had two guys that both played really well in the preseason. I think it was one of them was Mike Boone. Who was he? Was it Rock Thomas? Was that the other one? They both played like really well in the preseason, and then.
Well, Boone. Every time he got a chance, he played good. The game I got to see in 2019 against the Bears, when we didn't play any starters, Alexander Madison was hurt, and Boone had 100 yards that game. He fumbled, but he had 100 yards that game.
Mm-hmm. Lions will use Gibbs as a receiver, then pay him as a running back. I think Gibbs is going to be a really good football player. He's fast.
Someone who brought up a good point on the radio, or I don't know what I was listening to last night on YouTube, but Jalen Reagor putting him as a running back. Making some team as a running back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. How do you feel? I mean,
little third down back. Because he's a stocky little dude.
He is. He's fast. That's for sure.
He's shifty as hell. He'll probably make a pretty good running back. The problem goes though is can he block?
See Pat 2.0. He's not quite. I mean, he ain't quite Cordell Patterson, but that type of player though.
I don't think we were creative enough. If we're going to CJ Ham on jet sweeps, I'm like, it's like, wasn't a jet sweep by CJ Ham? I actually haven't seen that play, but I must have turned my head when that play happened. But CJ Ham on the jet sweep, I would rather have Reagor doing that.
Hey, is this CJ Ham slander? We don't allow that on the channel.
Well, I'm only doing it because
Jamie's in the chat.
Jamie's in the chat.
You're waiting for him to pop up. He's not gonna like that. I can already tell you.
Well, you go, and then the tight end screen. That's our big go-to. I want all those eliminated out of the playbook.
4-yard tight end screens. Oh God. So is Hitman in B-Flow gonna have a resurgence over or under 5 sacks? Ooh. That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. I mean, I think he's definitely gonna have a resurgence. I think, I mean, it sounds like they're letting him just fly around and be his old self out there, which I thought Harrison Smith played a lot better last year than he had in years past. At least he was, on the ball a lot more than he was. But yeah, this
My
year
hot take, Gary.
I'm excited to see what he does.
My hot take, my hot take 4th of July show that nobody watched, I did 5 sacks, but he's never had more than 3.
Over. Interesting.
He's never had more than 3.
Yeah. Cut Rager. Yeah, I would agree. Jamie is asking, I assume the chat, maybe us, I don't know. He's saying who's impressed the most in training camp,
I think.
or who is everyone most excited about right now? So far with I haven't seen much IQ out of Rager. That's kind of true. 7 sacks. Okay. I think Hitman had 5 sacks in one practice, and he's taking the over.
Yeah, they talked about he had 2 yesterday or something like that.
Both. I would have to say I'm going to take the obvious answer, and I'm going to go with Jamie's boy, Jordan Addison, just because of how the off the field drama before camp started, and all he's done is come in, put the work in, and he's shown us why he was a first round pick. Just the route running is there. He had a 40-yard touchdown, so I mean I didn't see it, but I assume he probably just had a nice route. But I mean the speed is there to get there. So I would have to go with Jordan Addison, the obvious choice here, but that's who I'm taking. My most who I've been most impressed with so far. Dave, what are your thoughts? Most impressive player?
The most impressive player in training camp?
Yep, so far in training camp. Okay. Yes, he did.
So there's a guy throwing these guys the ball, and he's putting them on. He's throwing dimes. I think who's been the most flashy player has been Justin Jefferson. He's been the most exciting player. Most exciting player. If the question is who exciting player to watch, I'm going milquetoast Jordan Addison, because I want him to be good. I want the number 1 draft pick to be good. But man, Cousins has been throwing the ball really good in preseason camp, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's always been the case. I remember early in camp last year, he
was kind of spotty, I thought.
Yeah, he was like rough. He was a little rough, but again, he made the point that, hey, last year we were learning the offense. This year we know the offense. So I think all around the players are playing much better on offense. So that's good to see. And but yeah, it's real. I'm excited to see young players always more than I am older players. So yeah, I'm more excited. I think Justin Jefferson's having the best camp. But Jordan Addison's probably the more exciting guy to talk about.
Right. But then Jamie's kind of thinking based on expectations as well. I mean, with what we heard so far, I would probably say, I'd say maybe Pace, just with kind of what we were, undrafted guy, but people knew that he had a lot of, he had a lot going on. He was a better player than what people thought just because of his size. And he's came in and he's looked fantastic. Otherwise, I'm going to Lewis Cine as well. I think he's bounced back from an injury pretty good. And then
he's an athlete.
SKOL TY Tago on looks better than expected as well. Yeah, it sounds like he's looked really good. And Blackman. Yeah, Blackman's been solid as well.
We got another over-under there.
Over-under. Okay, let's just we'll get to this comment first before we hop into that one. Should we be worried about our cornerback room? Yes and no. Yes, because, I mean, it's at least what I like is that the commodity is somewhat unknown. Like, I know there's a few years ago where it's like we brought back the same guys. It's like, okay, we know what we have. Right now, it's completely unknown. Byron Murphy, we don't know what he's going to look like in this defense. We have so much young talent, which, since the title of this video is the good and the bad from camp, I know we did mention the Andrew Booth injury, which is a bad part. Hopefully, it's something minor to where he can just get back and just start making some sort of contribution. But at the very end of the day, I guess you should be, just because of the inexperience, and we don't know what we have. But like Justin said down here, hopefully Flores is the guy that's going to come in and make some changes there. But otherwise, yeah, Kirk over under 40 for 5K yards. What are you thinking? I'm going to say it's tough. I'm still going to go under. I think he's going to have a lot because I think this offense is going to be explosive in the pass game. But I'm still going to say under.
His highest was 49.50 with the Redskins. Last year was his highest with us. I don't think, or I think
over
high end 4,800. but definitely if healthy and we don't sit out any games, because remember he didn't even play in the Cowboy game that ended his active streak of touchdowns. He had the highest active streak of any quarterback in the league for consecutive games with touchdowns. That ended with the Cowboy game because he didn't play it. So there goes a couple hundred yards, right? So it could happen. I mean, he's 49.50 the last year of his contract, explosive offense. But yeah, it's really hard to get that 5,000. I'm gonna say under.
Yeah.
I think a more appropriate number would be like 4,600, 4,550 to be an over and under. So
I think,
yeah,
I think he's going to hover around that 4,000 yard mark, but I think the touchdowns are going to be up this year for sure.
Oh yeah, touchdowns will be up.
And
that's a do over under on touchdowns.
Yeah, there we go.
Do it over on touchdowns.
And as Gary said, more emphasis on the running game, open up the passing game. I mean, I think that's going to take away from the hefty stats a little bit, but I mean,
we know we're gearing up to run the ball, and as long as we don't, as long as we do some counters and traps rather than this
over,
and be so
over as well. Jamie says over, under 17
over.
games does make it easier for sure.
5,000.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Let's go.
44.
I like it.
Okay. Interesting.
44.5 for touchdowns.
Kofi. I would guess. Oh, I wouldn't say maybe 44 and a half touchdowns. That's a hefty number. It's a hefty number. That's Aaron Rodgers numbers right there.
That's coming from Justin.
I mean, I'm thinking it's a little bit.
I'm gonna go under.
Kofi.
I think his most is 35 with the Redskins.
Right. Thoughts on Madison being our starter? Any chance he hits 100 yards? Actually, so I have an unpopular bet at work where one of the guys wanted to bet me. We have two over unders. We have one on TJ, 1,089 yards, and one on Alexander Madison for 1,050. I took the under on both, just because I think it's going to be a pass happy offense. I think we're going to go more of a committee system. I think Madison will get the bulk, but I think he's going to get like 70%, and I think the other 2-3 guys are going to split up the rest of it. So I put him in like that 950 range, but I think he's going to have double digit touchdowns for sure.
I had a hot take that Madison 1,000 yards. And so I would have did the under on TJ Hawkinson too, but it is almost a safe bet to say under 1,000 just because he's a running back and get hurt. But the fact that there's 17 games now, and if he stays healthy, and you just need a couple big games and then have a bunch of 50-yard games. And I think, because if you think about it, what's 1,000 divided by 17? It's not much.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So it's a healthy thing. If he's healthy, he's 1,000 yards. If he's not, it's not 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm. Kirk O'Chain's going to be hitting 5K. I don't realize we have better receivers. I think everybody realizes we have better receivers this year. I mean, Thielen and Osborne were like trotting out 2 number 3s. And Thielen was barely a number 3, just with, he couldn't stay, he was off last year for sure. But yeah, I mean, Addison coming in, TJ in a full off season, and then still having KJ as your wide receiver 3 with Naylor right behind him.
The problem with the 5,000 yards and the fact we got so many weapons is that Kirk Cousins' superpower is play action. His superpower is play action, and for some reason rolling out to his left. So those two things, it just leads me to believe that, hey, we got to play off the run quite a bit to optimize his abilities. And it was funny. Did you see that? Did you see that ranking of how players are in the pocket? And like Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott were like right in the middle, and then Justin Fields was like the absolute worst player in history as far as being a pocket passer. I don't know if you saw that, but he broke the chart because everybody was like in the middle and Justin Fields was way down here in the left.
I don't know, man. The Justin Fields hype is getting out of hand and it's kind of crazy. If the offense doesn't disappear for 2 quarters every game, he'll make 5K. Yeah, that was ridiculous last year. That was nuts.
And again, for me,
it disappears kind of crazy.
The inconsistent running game for me was what
absolutely
was a main deal about that. Because my biggest complaint is like we are not creative here, and in honestly, it seemed like we didn't have they call Kirk Cousins captain check down, but there was nobody to throw to on the check down a lot of times to get that get those extra yards because sometimes a passing game is a good running game, right? Because you can just dump it off to your running back. How many times did we really see us dumping the ball off? So it didn't seem like I think KOC in his second year is going to be better at play calling and better communicating on play design and putting guys in the right spots. I just think it's going to be so much better. But that 5,000, man, that means to me that means that we're not going to run a lot. That means if we're going to have, we'll be the same running team, right? If we're the same running team at 1,600 yards, that's like 29th in the league. So that means we'll have 6,500 yards of offense. That's pretty good, but that's being the 30th and 29th worst running offense in the league. So yeah, I just feel like we're going to try to be 1,800, 1,900 yards rushing. And then I don't see us being 7,000 yards offense.
Right.
That's the only reason I don't say 5,000.
Okay. Yeah.
The hot take on my show from my host on that show was 5,000. I think he had Kurt going over 5,000. So
damn,
it's not out of the question. Right. I just think if that's the case, our running game wasn't as good as it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to think that we were playing from behind a lot last year, and all those comebacks were throwing the ball like nonstop in the fourth quarter, and we only got to 4,500 yards passing. So that's my thoughts behind it. I don't think we'll be having to have 8 comeback from behind victories.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And like the reason that Kirk hit 49-50 that one year is because his defense in Washington.
I want to be wrong, man. That'd be cool. 5,000 yards.
Yeah. What else we got here? SKOL TY JJ 2,000 yards, 120 reception, 25 touchdowns. If he did that, pay him all the money you have. That would be absolutely ridiculous. But yeah,
I do think 17 touchdowns, like Viking record is attainable this year.
Yeah.
And I think he breaks his current Viking receiving record for catches.
Yeah. Very well.
I don't think he's already broke the receiving yardage record. So those are the other 2 records that he'll re-break the receptions, and then he'll break Randy Moss's touchdown record, which is 17. He'll tie it at least.
He might. Mateo, thanks for hopping in. Appreciate it. What else we got here? 800, 900 for Madison. Yep. I'm going to give, I would say 900-ish is probably where I would have him as well. Over under Kirk sacked 40 times. Over. Yeah, it very well might. In the zone, here's one for you, Dave. Our favorite cousins will ball out this year. You hear me, D Nutty, coming from In the Zone.
Impressive, man. You're coming around. When I go watch your channel, it doesn't sound like it. You've had him traded. No, I'm kidding. I can't.
Did I see something right where Fields is his favorite for MVP? God, I hope not. I'm new here, so what are your guys' record predictions? Jamie said 13-4 earlier. For us, when we did our ranking or our predictions together, we had us at a nice and hearty 12-5.
Yeah, Jamie had 17-0 last year, right?
He did. So Sarah's got 17-0.
I had 12-5. This second year in a row, I picked 12-5. I was wrong last year. We're 13-4.
Wow.
Yeah, 12-5 because I think our schedule, even though we play some tough teams, we still play our division, and our team's records are below 500, and a lot of the games we play are in favorable venues early. We're not playing many games late in the season outdoors. It's a very favorable schedule. We got a late bye. Nobody's going to know our defense. It's going to be hard to game plan for. So I feel like, and I've said this, we're going to be a better team, and we may lose more games.
Yeah,
and that both things can be true. And that's just not it's not a controversial statement. You can be a better team and lose more games.
Absolutely. So wrong, just to let you know. So this is 2 separate channels here. So make sure you're subscribing, liking the videos, for both GG Sports Podcast and Minnesota Sports Talk. Also, make sure to check out, let's be sure I get them all, Purple Pocket Podcast, Purple and Gold for Days, Purple and Scold Media, and Purple Rain 24/7 for Yogi. Am I missing anybody? Did I get it all?
If you guys are listening and you have a channel, put it in the chat.
Yeah, I think I got everybody though. I think I got everybody. And then Mic'd Up Podcast as well for Mr. Mike Castellino up there in Canada.
Oh yeah, we don't forget him.
Our brother from the far north.
Yeah, right under my name here, Minnesota Sports Talk's my channel, and if you're watching on GG, if you're not watching on GG, you go to his.
Absolutely.
Be part of the solution. We want more YouTubers, not less. More independent media.
Right? Because the national media sure doesn't know what they're talking about.
I got dude by a parody account today for like 5 minutes. I felt like an ass.
You what?
I got dude by a parody account. Guy was called the Athletic or the Athlete. Not the Athletic, but the Athlete. And he had like 1,200 followers. And he only followed like 200 people, and he followed me. So I started getting his messages, and I'm like, what a dick. I'm like, this guy's a dick. And I called him out, and then someone says, should we tell him? And then I go read out more of his comments, and like, oh yeah, this guy's a fucking parody account. And I'm like, nothing. It looks so legit. And I'm like, oh God, I feel like an ass. Let me go quick delete these messages. Like I said, I hate parody accounts.
All for the trolls. Dave fell for a troll. Justin Fields was 2,000 to 1 to win MVP. Kirk was 6,000 to 1 to win MVP. That seems a little bit ridiculous. The Justin Fields hype is out of hand. Until he should, like this year, if he comes out and shows us something, I'll eat my words. And I think D. Will mentioned it earlier. His supporting cast was not very good. This is definitely the year where they are giving him all the opportunity to succeed with bringing in DJ Moore, having Darnell Mooney be your number 2 receiver. Darnell Mooney is a really damn good receiver. So having him be your number 2 is pretty solid over there. Plus Croft at tight end. So we'll see. We'll see if they can build around him. I'll believe what I
kind of had the same thing I thought of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
is that I was excited. He was an exciting player, and then last year he put it together. I could feel like Fields is that type of player. Their defense, it shouldn't be good, right? Because they just broke that defense down, right? And I guess their offensive line isn't the greatest. Is that true?
Yeah, it wasn't. No, not at all.
So
not at all. Which is why he had to run.
Players get figured out. Have they figured out Fields yet? I don't know. I think the only reason you would rank Fields over, as far as odds wise, is because of media attention. Because media is going to pick, is going to be the reason why someone gets MVP. I don't get why Aaron Rodgers won it over, Tom Brady 2 years ago. 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards passing. How did you give that to Aaron Rodgers at 4,237? It's just, I don't understand that. But yeah, he'd be a very exciting player, but he's going to be a player that, he's got some good weapons now, but I don't see him getting 3,500 yards passing. I don't see that.
Not at all.
Right?
No.
He's going to be under 3,000, and he's going to have 1,000 yards rushing or more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're going to give that's 3,700 yards, okay. and then Kirk Cousins actually, throws for 4,500. So it's like, it's insane to think Fields would be more, apt to get that. He is not Lamar Jackson.
Right. Yeah.
He's not going to have that Lamar Jackson season.
Right, for sure. Addison's going to be okay. Going to be all right. He ain't getting CB1s on him. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the biggest thing too. Why I think he's going to find success in this offense. He's going to get. I think he might get a lot of get a lot of one-on-ones. So.
And he's going to make them look silly.
Hey, let's go! First hit of the game. They're still down.
I don't even want to watch. It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
The Twins absolutely just put me in a dark place, man.
They do. It's pretty disappointing. What else? Any other training camp thoughts that come to mind that we've been witnessing so far?
We're already an hour and 14 minutes.
I know.
Time's flown.
Time flies with no Jamie.
Yeah, it goes much smoother without Jamie. I'm kidding.
Of course.
I haven't heard anything about the offensive line, but they've only been in pads a couple of days. We will not know anything about the offensive line until game 1, because
Right.
they're not going to get any preseason snaps.
I
So that
believe,
just
and then 2 weeks from today, I believe is when they start the joint practices with Tennessee. I'm excited for
so you
that.
might see something there. Yeah, if we're
Yeah.
gonna like get some news, and we're gonna have 2, right? What are the 2 teams?
The other one, Arizona, I want to say. Yeah,
We won't
Arizona's
have Thielen
Arizona's
out
the
there
other one.
starting fights or trying to. I ever see Thielen in those joint practices? He's always yelling at somebody, pointing as he's walking backwards off the field away from them.
Yep.
I remember those.
Glad the only Minnesota team I like is the Vikings. I feel bad for you, Minnesotan. Everything fans. I'd be dead from alcohol poisoning. Yeah. Yeah, it's a depressing place to live for sports, that's for sure. Unless you're a Lynx fan, which I'm not, but it is what it is. Jaron Hall seems to be doing okay. Yeah, absolutely. So far so good. I know he's looked okay. I think he's had good days and bad days, but what do you expect from a rookie quarterback who wasn't, drafted very high? So
I mean, probably gonna have this quarterback room for 2 years.
yeah.
Yeah,
I can see it.
Well, hold it. Sorry, one's a free agent. Sorry, Kirk Cousins is a free agent. I know some of you guys.
I thought you were talking about Nick Mullins.
Well, I am, because Nick
yeah.
Mullins got a 2-year deal, but
Yeah.
you could release him and not be worried about it. But yeah, if we don't draft a quarterback, Nick Mullins is probably gone, I would
Hall will be
think.
the backup. Interesting. I mean, I could see it happening if he keeps
Yeah.
progressing.
So yeah, Hall would be a backup. Mullins could get released if we draft a quarterback, right? Which everybody thinks we will. So
yeah. Jaron Hall better play most of the preseason games. I hope so. I mean, obviously, I think we'll. Hey, Jamie, thanks for popping in. Have a good rest of your night. Yeah, I mean, I hope that. I mean, I'm sure Mullins will get some snaps. I know Kirk will probably be out there for like the first drive.
I think Justin's saying he's gonna be the backup this year, though.
Yeah, I think that's what. I that's what I'm saying. I could see it.
Well, yeah, I could see it. I don't think it's gonna happen though.
I don't either, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I hope he gets majority of second halves. So we'll see. Eric, what's he got? Do y'all believe KJ Osborne can stay at the number 2 wide receiver spot? Or do you think Addison is really better than KJ? I do. I mean, look, I don't want this to sound like it's going to be KJ Osborne slander, because I do like KJ Osborne. I was just hoping to see a little bit more from him last season. I see him as a very good wide receiver 3, and I see him as a wide receiver 2, but that's okay, because every team needs a solid, or I shouldn't say really good, because I mean, when I look at wide receiver 3s, it's probably unfair, but I look at like Tyler Boyd, who's a number 2 on most teams, but he's a 3 on that Cincinnati team. I think KJ is, like I said, an okay wide receiver 2 and a good wide receiver 3, and that's perfectly fine because every team needs one.
Well, when you look at the league, Thielen last year, he was like ranked 40th, right? Well, there's only 32 teams, so he is a wide receiver 2, even with like 750 yards receiving. And KJ Osborne is going to be right there too. But we have higher expectations than that. We want everybody wants the 900,000 yard, 1,100 yard guy to go with our 1,800 yard guy. That's hard to do. Addison is heads and shoulders above KJ Osborne in route running. KJ Osborne is allergic to crisp routes. He rounds them off, and it's very noticeable.
Right. Yep.
It's just so noticeable, and that's and then Thielen losing a step last year. Those are the 2 guys, and it was noticeable. I was like Thielen. I was a Thielen defender. I'm like, he's starting to pick it up, and then TJ Hawkinson came and stole his thunder, and he kind of, he wasn't the number 2 guy anymore. Looking at his video when he was a 1,300 yard receiver and looking at him now, it was completely different. And then KJ Osborne is hit his ceiling. This is his ceiling with us. He might be a 1,000-yard receiver if he goes to someplace and becomes a number 1, or for some bad team. But I think he's hit his ceiling as far as his ability, unless he can, for some reason, run better routes, get better routes. Yeah. I think he's, and it's a good problem to have. Guys fighting for that. I think Addison's better. Mm-hmm. flat out better.
Yeah, I would agree. We got from Mateo here. I wish we had a T Higgins type receiver, big body guy, and that is fair. I agree. I love T Higgins. I think he's obviously one of the probably the better wide receiver twos in the league. I know him. What Mike Williams was supposed to be with a guy like JJ would be huge, but man, I still, and I may just, and I agree. Addison is a little smaller, but he's still only 21. He's got room to at least pack on some muscle, but I like Addison on this team because I just think his route running prowess with Justin Jefferson on the other side of him is going to be huge. So I don't know. I just think he's got it.
If you have a
Better
taller
talent doesn't always mean
receiver,
a
you
better
may not
pro.
have
That's
as
also fair.
shifty of one. You
Right.
know, if he's a big wide receiver, he may not be as shifty. Yeah, I want the guy that can stretch the field, go up and get it, rob it. It's just it is nice to have a Jordan Addison that can get himself open when needed. It just can get. He doesn't have to have a contested catch. He's open. I was comparing him to KJ Osborne yesterday, and I was saying Kirk Cousins has to throw dollars to Addison. He has to throw dimes to KJ Osborne because there's no separation.
Right.
So it's like it's good to have that. Get him in space. He's going to make someone look silly. I'm totally on board the Addison train now after seeing him in practice.
Mm-hmm. Adam didn't have the moves either, but he hustled to be very good. KJ must have did something in this league, especially with the mighty Vikings too. I don't know, man. Adam Thielen was a pretty good route runner in his prime.
So when he got his chance, much like Naylor, when he got his chance, he looked great. Like he had that big 50-yard touchdown in a blowout and looked great. Thielen had these abilities. It's just he was getting buried because of the stigma of being an undrafted free agent.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first game he played, he got to start because a Diggs went down. He had 100 yards, and I just think it's hard to tell because he was so buried on that team and not thought of well enough that he got cut the first year. He got brought on the practice squad. He made the team the next year. He was a special teamer. I think that was the year he blocks the punt. He makes one good catch. He still doesn't get to start the next year, and he finally, in his fourth year, finally gets a chance. So I don't know. I don't think he didn't have it because when he finally did get it, he was all pro, or he was a Pro Bowler.
Right.
He's a Pro Bowl caliber receiver as soon as he finally got to start. So
absolutely, yeah.
It's hard to say. Back then you were thinking, it takes 2, 3 years for a receiver to stand out.
Not anymore.
Diggs didn't. He didn't take 3 years. Adam
JJ didn't.
JJ didn't. Well, now JJ's newer, but yeah. So.
Oh right, yeah. Back then.
I think Adam. I think I'll complain every single minute. 40 years to get Thielen on the field, and we didn't dress Diggs. What kind of crap is that? And then JJ doesn't start. What the F? I mean, it's just silly.
What else we got here? The Jameson Williams. See, that's the thing. We made the trade. Jameson Williams out there hitting his own players. At least Lewis Ceen's gonna hit other players. That's good.
Kofi here. I think how many receivers we go with depends on where the punt returner's coming from. Might depend on where the punt returner or the kick returner's coming from. But we only brought 5 last year, so it'll be 5. That's my thought.
JJ, Addison, KJ, Naylor,
and then there's a 5th guy, and if he can return punts,
because
not named Rager, he's gonna make the team.
Because who else do we have? I guess
they're
it all
talking
depends.
about Thayer Thompson a lot now, right?
I know Tristan Jackson had a couple nice plays. He hurt his knee. It sounds like he avoided ligament damage, which is good, so he might be a factor. But something tells me something like that he might end up, if they do keep him, he might be like with an injury designation or on IR or something.
If I was the Vikings, that'd be the second year in a row that's happened to him.
Yeah.
But people are talking about Thayer Thompson, and then was it Fowler? look at receivers. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah. Well, you do that. JD, thank you for hopping in and
Blake
appreciate
Kroll is
it.
not going to make this team. He's going to be a
music
singer.
artist. He was actually, he had a live show at one of the
Yeah.
venues in Minneapolis. I didn't go see
Christian
it. I would
rock.
like to.
He's a Christian rock singer or something like that. Yeah. Who am I looking for here? Thompson. I can't even
Thomas
find
from
him.
NC State, I heard, is a good returner. Thomas, that's that Thayer Thomas.
Thayer Thomas.
That's good. Okay.
Brandon Powell.
Oh, right, Brandon.
Yeah,
Powell.
Brandon Powell will be right there.
He could be the kick returner. That's for or kick or punt returner.
Punt returner.
But I don't know if I'd like to spend a wide receiver spot on him though, because that's all he's going to be able to do is that's all.
And
he's
we don't.
do
And ESPN doesn't even have that UDFA that I liked. Was it Fowler?
Knowles, right?
Knowles.
He got waived with an injury designation actually.
Oh, he did.
He did.
Right.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing him come back next year and.
Yeah. Nobody wants. Oh yeah. Would you take Slick Rick back or roll with Kwesi? At this point, I'd rather just roll with Kwesi. See what he's got for a couple more years. Just see how. I mean, that's the biggest thing with GMs. Their jobs are so short lived. Because I mean, it does take a couple years to see like the fruits of what they do. I mean, obviously, I think with the Wilfs, which is why I still will say to this day the Wilfs are the best owners in Minnesota sports. They're a little more patient, which can be a hindrance as well as something really as well as a good thing too. But the Wilfs have always been showing spend the money, go do what you need, get this team where we need it to go. And I don't know. I just think they're going to allow Kwesi enough time to see that to fruition. So
I think it is. People are complaining about his drafting ability, but I just think he was hampered by injuries. I think once we see Lewis Cine on the field, Asamoah on the field, we're going to change our mind about that draft. Boo Jr. God, who knows what's going to happen with him. I was still really high talent wise. He should be right up there, but just injury, just bad luck injuries. This year, if we get Addison to start and then contribution. If we get what's the defensive tackle?
Oh, Jaquelin Roy.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna have a great shot to get
him and pace
and noise.
And long term McBride. Blackman.
Yeah.
Plays good on. We only had 6 draft picks and we didn't have a second rounder, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a second rounder, right? Yeah. Just it's hard to go off of that, but the other moves, like the trade to get TJ Hawkinson, the amount of free agents going getting Oliver, even though everybody here was going like, what? Who's this guy? He made that move because he trusted his scouts, trusted our talent evaluators, and went and got a guy that's going to really help this team and not make everybody go ooh and ah, but holy shit, it's going to be good. On a Davenport coming off a bad season, I was shocked at how well we did in the off season with the constraints we have, and right now we're sitting with $11 million in cap space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, how did this happen? That's how good it was.
Yeah. I wish I was a fly in the room when Wilfs told him you gone too. I believe I heard there was tears from both sides when they fired Spielman. So I know everybody thought he was gonna get like a firing / promotion, but obviously wasn't the case. And at least the head coach and the GM are on the same page. And that's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest reason why they felt like they had to move on. Because like when your GM just can't get along with your coach, I mean, and it doesn't matter whose fault it was. Like at the end of the day, if you can't do that, then yeah, you need to try to find somebody better. And just and that's the biggest thing with Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell is they are on the same page, and that's huge.
He may have survived if he didn't go getting all desperate and start putting void years and ruining our cap future.
Yeah,
he might have saved his job. I was thinking, honestly, I was leaning towards he was going to be back.
Yeah, Ziggy's definitely the more entertaining Wilf brother. That's for sure. Dancing in the locker room, it's fun.
Well, he looks like Wario from Mario Brothers.
Yeah, that's fair. They need to use that money on some real O-linemen because what are we signing? Yeah, the interior O-line is going to be a little rough. Dave, who was more cranky, Zimmer or Burns?
Burns.
Burns by a mile.
Dude,
That was
that
before my
guy
time.
he led the league in F-bombs, man. Holy crap. Burns was there's still one of the best YouTube videos out there of him just dropping F-bomb after F-bomb, and we won the game. It's insane. But hey, there's a lot of credit to give Jerry Burns. They honestly say the players, Chuck Foreman said that Greg Coleman talked about how he was the innovator of the West Coast offense. Like he was the guy. Like the freaking 49ers stole the offense from them, from Jerry Burns, believe it or not. So that's kind of crazy to think about. That's how good a offensive coach he was, which is weird why they gave the job to Les Steckel. Fuck.
Again, all this is before my time as a Vikings fan. So
you know the name Les Steckel though.
Oh,
right?
absolutely, yeah. I've heard
because it's the 3-win season.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else you got before we already been going for an hour and a half here. 17 people in the building. Thanks everybody for hopping in. Dave, you got anything else that you want to talk about before we sign off here?
Still pushing, going to SKOL Fest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I
don't have the banner.
Justin actually accidentally said Southeast Southeast Palace, but Northeast Palace in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, we're gonna have a get together at 7 p.m. Right?
Yep, I think so.
Northeast Palace, September 9th, 7 p.m. I guess we're giving giveaways. You know what I'm thinking about is getting all the YouTubers to sign this flag, but I like it so much, I'm not sure. And giving that as a drawing, but
it really adds to the nuance of your recording studio as well. So
I know it gets rid of that black streak from my chair that keeps rubbing up against the wall. There it is.
Yep.
There it is.
Yeah,
but hey, the division titles, be proud, raise the flag. 19, is it 19 or 20 now? I forget.
Speaking of recording studios, in a month, well, I won't be moving in for like a month and a half, and in a month I'm buying a house. And I'm getting a second bedroom, and I'm going to turn that into a recording place. So instead of having to see like tables and garbage cans behind me, I'm going to, decorate the walls in my office space.
And mood lighting.
Turn it into an actual recording studio and not sitting in my living room in the corner.
This is how much space I have. I can't even put out my arms.
Jeez. I mean, I have a ton of space. I mean, kind of right in between the kitchen and living room here in the apartment.
Yeah. I can't do the Wonder Woman thing. You're too old for that. You're too young for that too.
Too young for that. Andre Carter will explode in the scene this year. He started the year on the PUP, I believe, with some sort of soft tissue injury is what Coach O'Connell said. Congrats, Casey. Thank you very much. It's so this whole closing was in a month from when I basically agreed to buy the house. So I have a lot to do in a month. I got to get insurance. I got to get him all this information. I'm stressed, very stressed, but get on here and talk about football, and that makes me feel a little better. So, yeah. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, thanks everybody for hopping in. We should be back to the giveaways next week of the Justin Jefferson cards. Jamie's the man that runs the show behind those, and with the moving, he didn't want to start sending anything out. So we'll hold off on that until next week. I believe next week does Purple and Scold start the regular schedule.
Yeah, apparently. So me and Rap Rap hadn't even talked to me about it, but apparently Tuesday nights at 8:00 Central, we're going live, SKOL Live. Yay, it's back. And I want all the smoke. And I went and bought my first ever anything of Kirk Cousins. There was a sale on Fanatics, and I got a Kirk Cousins jersey. So I'm bringing I want all the smoke this year.
Yeah. Skull TY, thoughts on the throwbacks? I think they look legit. I like them a lot.
A lot of disappointment that they weren't stitched. So I'm gonna wait to buy. I'm gonna probably buy one, but I'm gonna wait till I find one on sale later in the season.
Sweet. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Apartment living was not for me. According to SK, that's the plan. Cool. So
My
I
neighbors
believe-
probably hate me when me and Justin or Rap went after each other. I mean, I'm right below a bedroom, so it's like I'm sure they freaking hate me.
They just might.
I go
mean,
through neighbors like water.
and that's why, because you're yelling in their basement.
I'm on the bottom floor.
But as for me and Jamie though, I believe starting next week, he and I will be live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. My weeks are gonna be busy, but
It's gonna be like I was last year. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
oof,
and
that
then
middle week
Sunday.
stretch. It's tough. It's a lot going on.
Sunday
I'm gonna
live.
be in like 4 fantasy leagues this year. Be a lot of football. Be a lot of
Am
football.
I in one of them?
Fun.
Am I going to be in one of them? Am I allowed in one of them? No.
No,
right.
I think everyone I'm in is
Dick.
full. I'm the commission too. One of them's a dynasty league, and one of them's through work. So
Dick.
it's a lot of leagues. I'm sorry.
Such a
I'm
jerk.
sorry.
Casey's the fucking gatekeeper to fantasy football, apparently.
That is not accurate.
We had a league last year, but nobody really paid attention. I was kicking ass until the championship game, and my team went from averaging 180 points a game to 90 in the championship.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts. Those end of the year. Yeah, I know. Yeah. One of my friends, every year he's always really good, and then he gets to the playoffs and he loses the first game. This last year he was terrible all year long.
I might have been like second round. I guess I didn't make the championship.
Hey Dan, thanks for hopping in. Appreciate it. But yeah,
just in time to hang up.
Yeah, just in time for us to hop off here. So we've already 1 hour and 36 minute stream. Again, thanks everybody for hopping in. Pretty consistent viewership throughout. As I said, Jamie will be back next week. We'll be back on Monday here. Dave.
Oh, hey, announcement next week. Wobby's coming back on.
SKOL Experience featuring Wobby of the Wobcast.
He'll officially
2.0
3 times on this particular show.
Yeah,
and he'll be now a friend of the program.
Yeah,
officially.
I believe we checked before this. He is up to 717 subscribers. That is a fast growing channel. So if you haven't already, make sure to go check out Wobcast 2.0 and hit the old subscribe button on his channel as well. Dan, I highly recommend you do go back and check it out again. We talked about some interesting stuff.
He's not affiliated with the Vikings anymore, so you can say he's not. He doesn't drink purple as much anymore. He can say what he wants to say. Absolutely.
So we will see him next week here on the channel. Again, thank you everybody for hopping in, for the likes. Anybody who's subscribed new today, we appreciate that as well. And we'll see you guys next week here on the SKOL Experience. Thanks for hopping in.